Hello, everyone, and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. This is going to be a great show for you here today. We'll talk everything Premier League this weekend, of course. Big up everybody that is joining me. All you can see here are just members joining me, and I'm so blessed with these people joining me today. Absolutely brilliant panel for you today. We got supporters from all the clubs, of course. Liverpool. Mike is here. Mike, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. Unmute yourself. Go ahead. People, you can unmute yourself.
I got
Welcome,
you.
everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, great. And I got Ramona debut on the channel. Fantastic, of course. There is a little bit of an echo, but we'll fix that. But Ramon, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for being here with us. Appreciate you being here, my friend.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. It hasn't been a great week, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
We'll get into it, of course. And here we got the Gunner, of course. How do you want to be called?
You call me Kaz.
All right. Okay, that's fantastic, of course. Welcome to the chat. I hope the people in the chat cannot hear an echo. Philip, not your first time, not your first rodeo. Welcome. Good to talk Newcastle and everything else, of course.
Evening, Mo. Evening, gentlemen. Philip here from Toontastic TV.
Yes,
Looking forward to talk football with you guys.
And last but not least, Kevin is here with us to talk all things Man United. Of course, welcome, Kevin. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, appreciate you people. So, where do we start then? I think actually there's only one place to start, to be honest. It is Spurs. I know people don't like that, but Spurs. Maddison is injured until the end of the year. Romero is suspended for 3 games, and nobody challenged that or anything. Van de Ven is out. Udogie is out for this game. Ramon, what happened? What is going to happen? Give me what is going to happen?
It's the life of a Spurs fan. I've been a Spurs fan for 40 years, and we're not allowed anything nice. In that 40 years, I've seen us win 1 UEFA Cup, 1 FA Cup, and 2 League Cups. While I've seen our rivals win up-team league titles in Arsenal, and then Manchester United dominated, and then Chelsea, and then Man City. And we had 10 games where we were allowed to, think happy thoughts. Maybe we can get a Champions League position. Some people are dreaming to win the league. And then I don't know where it was. Maybe, Mo, it was your friend Hussam. Maybe he and the Liverpool fan base all, prayed together for the downfall of Spurs. They went to their Friday mosque in Salah and did the Bodwa for Tottenham. And it worked, because in 45 minutes of football, not only did we lose a game horrifically, we lost our main central defenders. We lost our main midfielder. We lost our main left back. And then in the second half, we decided to just play kamikaze football and throw the game away. What could go wrong did go wrong in 90 minutes. And in the days, the aftermath, it's just been, just bad news after bad news. Okay, the Van de Ven information that came out that he didn't need an operation, so it might be 8 weeks instead of 12 weeks. But the Maddison news is just horrific. He's the one that made us tick in his first 10 games, and I can't see anyone replacing him. So I think now it's a blessing in disguise that we got whatever points we've got, 24, 26 points. So at least we've got a bit of a buffer, so that we can still, when the players come back, we might be, 10 points off top 4 or whatever, and we can have a charge towards the end. But now I'm just thinking, when we get our players back, let's go for the FA Cup and, put all our eggs in that basket, because it's just been the most horrific week for a Tottenham fan. And I can't see any silver lining. Tomorrow Wolves, then we've got Villa, and then double figures defeat against Man City. It doesn't get any worse. But,
you sound like you're fighting relegation. I'm like, it's not
I'm gonna say it's not
like the way the picture he drew is like, what is going on here? What,
told
what,
you,
what did I get myself into, bro? Like, what is this?
I've experienced 2 relegations that I got PTSD. I was getting flashbacks just listening to you. I was like, it's all right. You're half glass full. It depends on what I guess Spurs fans were expecting, and I still think you obviously up to this time you played great football. You're right about the game, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But I guess it's all about expectations, and you came from I don't know how many years, obviously Conte, Mourinho, Nunes, back against the wall type of football, counter-attacking to now obviously attacking football. And so even before the summer, I don't know what Spurs' fans' expectations were. People were saying, not just Spurs fans, but other people were saying, 8th, 9th. But now you're obviously exceeding those expectations. And you just don't know. You're in an unknown area right now. You don't know how good or how bad Spurs are. I think they're good. But you don't know what the baseline is in terms of, you're right, you're going through that sticky period now. And I guess you're going to find out, you're going to get a testing period of just how good you are. But it's not, I'm a glass half full type of guy, but it might be better than you think. You never know.
I was a glass half full in the 80s. In the 90s, the glass started getting less, and then 2000s and 2010s. I was a season ticket holder. I actually gave up my season ticket after watching Conti football in May this year. But I was a season ticket holder for 24 years. Became a season ticket back in the George Graham days. So I've seen us from George Graham win the League Cup in '99, and then I've seen us win just one League Cup under One Day Ramos, and we had great times under Poch. But last year, I'm watching that Conte football. I think out of 19 home games, I went to about 9 and 10 games I either sold on ticket exchange or gave away to friends and family. It was horrendous, and I never in a million years thought that Ange would come in and transform the team. And I think what's going to happen to most of our Spurs fans, we've got to now manage our expectations of what we thought was going to happen when Kane left and Ange just took over. We were probably thinking, let's consolidate. We don't need to get into Europe, maybe a 7th or 8th position, and we'll see how we do. How Ange, gets rid of the deadwood, brings in some freshness up the players that he needs, and I think we might have to manage our expectations. I think the first 10 games just really took out.
So Osam was right then. So Osam was right all along. So Osam from football was right all along. Like he just said, once you get injuries, all the expectations will go from, well, we're gonna be there and there about to.
Yep. But the context was
we'll finish 6th, 5th.
It's also really funny because James Maddison has been like notoriously perfectly healthy. Like the guy puts in 40 matches a year over year, and then just out of absolutely nowhere on the same day, you get what you build your entire team around in Van de Ven. Like the only reason why you have 26 points to begin with is his ability to stop counterattack.
I think Osam hacked his Wi-Fi. I think so. That's the only.
Who
I think
Sam
Osam
wants the
hacked his
credit?
Wi-Fi for real, bro. I think Osam hacked your Wi-Fi, Mike. He literally
Yeah,
did.
you're lacking a bit. I don't know if you want to come back out and then come back in.
I got you.
It's all
No,
right.
but when it rains, it pours. That's the saying, right? And that's that game. That game was the perfect for that saying.
And the main issue is Chelsea turn up against Tottenham. They always turn up, whether they're at their lowest low. They always turn up. Even last season, they were playing poor football. Their best game of last season was the 2-2 draw, which they should have beaten us. And that was the famous game where Harry Kane scored in the last minute, and Romero did one of his OJ Jeans pulling of the hair and got away with it. And even they just seem to always raise their game. We know about the Battle of the Bridge, 6-7 years ago, when Poch was our manager, and you could see after about 15-20 minutes after the Udogie tackle, they started, right, we're going to really go for it. Chelsea started, let's put it up Tottenham, and we reacted badly, and instead of keeping our heads, and that's where you need a strong captain. And I love Son, but that's where his communication skills isn't. He's not a leader like a Roy Keane or John Terry. That's the issue that we had, and we riled them up, and then we started losing our composure, and we were losing. Not only were we just losing our composure, you could see the goal, the equaliser was coming. They had so many chances, and that Casido goal, which was disallowed, and then obviously the Romero penalty. But they were still cutting us open, 11v11, and I just don't understand how the
What,
players got riled up like that.
what were your thoughts on Ange keeping that high line even with 9 men? Because I seen a lot of split in the fan base where some people praised it, loved it, thank you for being brave, et cetera, and some people said, why would you do that? We had a fighting chance. You sit back. Chelsea can't cut the low blocks. They can't cut through it. They struggle it for the whole season. So, what were your thoughts on that?
For me as a Spurs fan, I've grown up hating one team, which is Arsenal. Obviously, the rivalry in North London, stuff like that. And more recently, over the last 20 years, my hatred for Chelsea has grown, especially more recently because they've been winning a lot under Abramovich. Um, and so it's a derby. And Ange needs to realise that we can't lose a derby by hook or crook. Let's try and get the draw. Let's try and shut up shop, because that was a suicide mission. I've never seen that in my whole life. And yes, he can try something new, but try it against, if it's not down to 9 men against a Luton or a Burnley, and let's see if we can do it. Because I don't know whether he felt that he was back in the Scottish Premiership and it was Celtic against Hibernian, and he thought, right, we can still beat them because this is the Premier League, and he's going to have to learn quickly. Because and the people who praised him are probably people who just blindly follow him. And I know they got a standing ovation, but that was more to do with the effort that the players had to put in a shift. That second half, they had to put in a shift. That standing ovation was probably just the Vicario himself, because he was amazing in that second half. But no, you can't have a high line like that and expect to. And we all know that Chelsea, they struggled against the Nottingham Forest, against the Brentfords, against the low block. And yes, people kept on saying, "Oh, we've only got one main central defender." But if you put 9 men behind the ball, they're all professional footballers. They can defend. If you tell them to defend and you don't have to attack, and if you get the odd chance,
You at least
bung
make
the
them
ball.
work for it. You at least
Yeah,
make Chelsea work for it. You sit a lot of
listen,
people behind,
Yeah.
and they got to fight and try and find an opening. You make it so easy. I mean, on the halfway line especially, that is just knife
Yeah, I
through
think.
butter. That is just easy.
Yeah,
if they had a player that could finish their dinner, and I'm not talking about Haaland, even a Ollie Watkins or a Callum
Someone
Wilson,
half decent, yeah.
they would have
Because
scored 7 or 8, and that would have been one of our worst defeats in our history. And
Jackson got a hat trick, and people came
Yeah,
out complaining about him. Like that's how you know, like they need a good striker,
but
because you get a hat trick, and people are coming out that stadium. Oh my God, he was bad. He was horrible. If we had a real striker, it's 4, 5, 6 goals. So
yeah,
that's
but
just
you obviously, I saw it differently. I'm devil's advocate. I'm not a Tottenham fan, obviously. So I was just watching the game without any emotion behind it. The only thing I can relate it to, and I can only say, is you're the beginning of your process. So last year, for instance, with Newcastle, we just escaped. Well, we escaped relegation. We finished 11th, and then we got into next season. I think in our third game in, we were playing Man City. Myself, and I'm sure most Newcastle fans who remember the game, prior to the game, were thinking, we're going to play 5-3-2. We're going to park the bus, and we're going to hope and pray we don't lose this game more than 3-0. Eddie Howe said, no, we're playing the formation and the game that we've always played, which is 4-3-3, and it's going to be front foot football, and we're going up against that. Now, obviously, granted, we didn't play with 9 men, we played with 11 men, but the principle is the same. We're still going to attack, we're still going to press. Now, we drew the game 3-3. We could have lost 3-0, but I guarantee we're still going to play the game that we're going to play. Now, what's my point? Essentially, from that game forward, yes, we had a great season. We obviously beat yourselves 6-1, and we did all those type of things. But those games wouldn't happen hadn't we not been bold enough and learned that, look, we're a different team. We're playing 4-3-3, and that's what we're gonna press, and we're gonna go high. This is who we are. I think with Ange, I'll just finish on Ange's stack. I think the idea was there, but the execution was lost. You have to remember, Bentancur came close to scoring. Son came close to scoring. I think Dyer scored, but it was an offside. And to make that work, he preferred to go press high up the field, but you need your midfield and your forwards to work. And I think they just got too tired. I don't think he wanted them at least holding that line the way it is. I'm just gonna hold. That's my kind of idea. I'm just saying, buckle your seatbelt. This is
hold on.
Yeah, go
People,
ahead.
it's about 130 of you here, starting a little bit slow, but can we get to 100 likes, please? The like button is very important for the channel. It's the only way the channel can grow, get more subscribers, get more exposure to people. So please, and Strasbourg Steve, one of my friends, of course, we chat a lot. He's become an elite member. Thank you, Steve, for supporting the channel. Send your super chats, people. Support the channel. Become a member. This is a member show. Of course, it's just the people that support the channel. We try to give them a chance also to have their say. I'm just going to say one thing. In football, what he did is never heard of. You never stand on the halfway line. When we coach, we tell kids the offside. Probably he didn't know that the offside doesn't start until halfway line. So probably he didn't know that. Someone needed to tell him that, listen, even if if you're on the halfway line, the offside is easy to break. And I think, no, he didn't know, probably because, with all due respect, I don't know why. He should have dropped the line 10 yards or something. Also, a couple of more things is that Pep Guardiola didn't win the Champions League until he changed the way he played. This notion of that you have to have a system that works all the time, it can work in the league. However, you need to adapt sometimes to different situations. I'm not saying you adapt to different teams, but at least to adapt when you go down to 9 men. It's as simple as that. I'm not asking here for something magical. I'm just asking adapt. What he did is wrong. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you don't even have to change your philosophy. The philosophy is still the same, but let's say that high line at the halfway, drop it like 10, 15, 20 yards just behind. You don't even have to completely abandon it. You don't have to go and sit back and have all 9 remaining men like inside the 6-yard box, but you could push it back a little bit and just try and like Mo said, adapt. That would have given me more hope, I think, as a Tottenham fan, seeing, wow, we went down to 9 and my manager's tweaking things to go with how the game is going, because the game ain't the same anymore. So you have to change and adjust to how it's going.
Sava said something that is very true. He actually said that the line was not even that high when they were 11 men. So he put the line higher, and people tried to explain it. Big up Sava, Will, and the guys on the Football Heritage TV when they tried to explain it. I'm not buying it. It was wrong. It could have been one of the worst defeats in Tottenham history, not only in a derby, but just in general. This could have been 9 or 8, and it's unacceptable what he did. And I think what he did, he should learn from it. Jamie Felix, thank you for the support. Thank you for the super sticker. Really appreciate you, Jimmy. Really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
I was going to also say on Philip's point, because he said, it almost worked because Tottenham had that offside goal ruled out and all that. Let's give it to them. Let's say they had those 2 goals. Then you could also make the argument, Chelsea get a good striker. They win, 6-3, 7-3, 8-3. So, I get where you're coming from. So if you want to play that if game because they were a little bit offside, so it almost worked, you could just say, well, if Chelsea had a better striker, you know what I mean? They bury more chances on the other end and let them score 3 and they'll still have more.
Kaz hasn't said a word. I want to hear what he thinks about that, being an Arsenal fan.
If this was any other team, that would have been 10-1. If this was even United, if this was Liverpool, if this was Liverpool, if this was Arsenal,
no, he's true. If this was Hoyland up top, if this was Hoyland, yes, he's not wrong.
But why you guys he's not wrong with that? Because we won't get the ball to Hoyland. That's the problem.
No, but
if it's Hoyland, but we
actually, I disagree with you. If Man United will thrive against a team that played that half a line, it has all been. You beat Arsenal's. And the goal was chopped off by half a yard for Garnacho goal, right?
I agree. It's a
Manchester United would love to have a team play the eye of a line. I agree with him. He's right.
I agree. Right. It's a little bit of banter.
Do you know why you'd have been? You'd have been 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. You would have been either Rashford versus Vicario, Hoyland versus Vicario, because there was no pattern of play. All they had to do was make that second run and have the timing right and have that through ball, and they were in. I can't believe last time when a striker scored 3 goals and we're still talking about the striker. When we have more doubt about the striker, then we have good things to say, because if this was not Nicholas Jackson and if this was someone else, that would have backed 2 hat-tricks by all means.
Yeah, 100%.
I couldn't believe the header he missed, and I couldn't understand Postecoglou's tactics, to be honest, because we've spoken about it. Yeah. There's no team in the Premier League will ever do that, especially let alone
in the world.
Yeah. Let alone being 1 man down, you're 2 men down. against Chelsea, as everybody spoke about this throughout the whole league, they struggle to beat low block teams. And you do that against them. And I was, to be honest, as a neutral, I was just getting frustrated for Chelsea because the amount of mistimed runs they were making, I was actually angry. I'm not even a Chelsea fan, but it was just really annoying me because they just couldn't get it right. And finally, they got it right, and they knew exactly what they had to do, and they copied and pasted it.
I mean, all the arguments against that are coherent and logical. And like Mo said, it's never been done in football, and it's a reason why it doesn't get done in football. I'm just saying, take the argument at its best. Let's say that Ange Postecoglou didn't go insane when they went to down to 9 men. What was he trying to achieve, and why was it not executed on the pitch? And that, like you said, you don't have 9 men lined up against the wall. I don't think he was trying to do that. He needed his midfielders and his strikers to push up and block the passing channels. Like you said, Kaz, Chelsea could just walk up to the halfway line and pick their passes. That's where the midfielders are supposed to stop them from doing that in the first place. I think he just underestimated in terms of his team and in terms of the level of stamina and what they were doing. I'm not saying it's great plan. I'm just saying taking what Ange's trying to do at its best.
I'll have to move on from Spurs because I've been 20 minutes with Spurs.
I was
going to say,
listen, people, I actually like about the top 6 thing and Spurs. I thought there is hope, but now they're not going to even make top 4, and it's just going to be.
Is it that bad?
Listen, the last thing, it might be that bad actually with Maddison injury, because Romero, Van de Ven, I think Newcastle will catch up. Newcastle are the team that are going to catch up. It's obvious. Let me do this. Tapilu Mohali is saying Chelsea is playing Jackson every game. That was never the plan. Ange is arrogant. Agreed. That's his downfall. Chelsea will get Nkunku, Broya, Lavia back soon. Yeah, Chelsea, when they get their players, I think they're going to be all right. Yeah, I agree with you 100% with the super chat. Nkunku comes back. Chelsea always have a pattern of play. I think they're all right. I want to move on to Liverpool.
Okay.
Mike, you fight with Osam all the time.
Yes, I do.
You tell him stop.
I do.
Give it now. It's reverse. He's watching. You're on the stream.
He calls me reactionary. He calls me reactionary.
It's reverse.
Listen.
Tell him why you want him to tell him. You have the mic.
All right.
Mike, have the mic.
I do. Hopefully my internet doesn't take a poop again.
You're looking all right, bro.
But it's crazy because I spend money for a full gig, so it should be good. Either way, Hussam calls me reactionary, right? But the problem is that every game I go on his halftime show and I tell him the same thing over and over and over, no matter the result. We are horrible in possession. We are a terrible possession team. And Jurgen Klopp continues to play us in this total football possession format that just, it doesn't work. It can produce goals, right? And our defense has been much better because our midfield is better this year. We have we've got a younger midfield. There's more legs, so there's more cover. So people like Matip and Gomez, they look better. But ultimately, when it gets down to brass tacks, 99% of our goals come from quick transition play. And what does that transition play come from? It comes from us losing the ball, the opposing team getting bold, and then us getting a turnover and turning that into a goal. We do not score from slow build-up. It doesn't happen. And that's the same reason why we struggle against teams like Luton and like Toulouse. I believe we have 3 wins out of 10 against newly promoted teams in the last 3 years. That's pathetic. That's horrendous. You're telling me 9 points? I don't know how many draws we have. But honestly, I look at Luton kind of like it's a very poor result. But the thing is that it's compounded by Toulouse, because Toulouse is essentially the Luton of the French league. They've got 11 points. They're in the same scenario. And the reason why we struggle against those teams is because we cannot create in possession. You saw it yesterday. We struggled very, very, very much. Ultimately, the goals that we let up, one of them was Simicast, and that kind of let the floodgates open because we didn't let up a shot until that sole error. But the problem is that we also didn't threaten at all up until that point because we cannot create from the buildup. And everyone likes to talk about this crazy good attack that we have. I think on paper, we have a very good team up front. But the problem is that in practice, Klopp is trying to do this. I mean, this is kind of a little bit of credit to Jamie here, who sent in a super sticker before, but it's a little bit resemblant of like Johan Cruyff total football here. Like no one has positions, everyone's everywhere. It doesn't work. Like we haven't played the style of football that brought us to the top since we were at the top. Like, we got to the top playing fast, counter-attacking football, and then out of absolutely nowhere in the 2021 season, Jurgen Klopp just decides to say, you know what? I kind of want to be like Pep. I just want to pass the ball all over the place.
So hold on. You are a brilliant tactician, okay? What is wrong with what Hussam says? Like, what is the problem? Like, why there's
No. Listen, Hussam is just pushing some sort of agenda. He calls me reactionary because I love Darwin, right? And that's really that's our biggest thing. I'm a huge Darwin guy. He's not. He's very anti-Darwin. I get it, right?
I am an anti-Darwin.
But that's fine. Like that is your.
How do you can like Darwin? Why do you like Darwin Nunes?
I love Darwin. He's got
why?
Passion. He's got pace, and he's got time. Passion, pace, and time.
Say that again. I'm sorry. So let's debate one about passion.
Passion.
Okay, who gives a fuck? Okay, passion. Who gives a fuck? Okay, go ahead.
Pace.
Go ahead. Pace. Okay, very good. Very good.
And he's got time. He's 24 years old.
What does that mean?
He's 24 years old.
Oh,
he's 24 years old.
So you're not holding Liverpool to a higher standard. You hear me out. I said that. You know my opinion, but I have to repeat it for the people that are watching. It's not me and you only debating. There's 150 people watching. So I need to explain to them. Liverpool Football Club wants to win the league. Liverpool Football Club is a big club. You cannot have time unless you have an alternative. You brought a number 9 last year for a lot of money. He needs to deliver today or tomorrow. We're tomorrow here. Is he delivering this year? People give me numbers and shit like that. I'm telling you, Darwin Nunes' touch is worse than Nicholas Jackson. Darwin Nunes passing is worse than Nicholas Jackson. Darwin Nunes carrying off the ball is worse than Nicholas Jackson.
No, I'm totally disagreeing with you here. Totally.
Can anybody here in the panel disagree with me? You can.
Darwin has more assists than Nicholas
See, the difference is because Darwin plays in a way more established team. He has absolutely bowlers around him. Darwin Nunes is quick. Darwin Nunes' movement is all right. I said before that to be elite striker, you need to excel in one of 5 things. He doesn't excel in anything other than he's blessed from God in his nature as a quick forward. He had good season at Benfica when he finished a lot of it. And when I asked the Benfica people, they said, we created more than double these chances for him and he missed them. That's how he got his goals. My problem is Liverpool Football Club, you need to aim for higher. You want to win? You need to aim for the Torres. You need to aim for the Suarez, the Firminos, the Haalands. If you are accepting mediocrity like this, right? And you say time, I agree with you, Mike. I'm going to let you talk. I agree with you. Darwin Nunes might become good, right? Is he good today?
Here's okay. We're looking at this a little bit wrong, right? Because first and foremost,
I'm not looking at it wrong.
No. Hold on. Allow me to elaborate.
You're saying me that I'm not looking at it wrong.
Allow me to elaborate. Allow me to elaborate. First and foremost, we do not have an alternative right now. You saw Cody Gakpo in the false 9 yesterday. Created nothing. In the first leg against Toulouse, it was 5-1. Why? Because Darwin creates chances for other people. Whether or not he scores, other people are getting space.
What do you mean he creates? What does that mean? Like by movement?
Creates space. No. He's creating space for other players. His runs in behind create space for other players. His runs on the counterattack create space for other players. Whether or not
you don't play counterattack, so don't mention counterattack. You don't play. Liverpool Football Club don't play counterattack.
Hold on. We score in transition. We only score in transition, right? There's always transition play. So it's just that we're not set up to do that. We're set up to play possession football rather than
yeah.
Either way, there is no alternative. And right now, in my mind, listen, if I had all the money in the world and I was owned by Qatar, I'd say in January, go buy Osimhen. Like, go get the top-class, world-class striker. Go do it. But
you advocate for Darwin Nunes, but you say if I have the money, I need another striker.
But hold on, you're not allowing me to finish. You're not allowing me to finish because
I'm gonna shut up, Mo. Go ahead.
Because there is no other option right now. In January, I need something. I don't need a 9. I need a 6. I need a center back. I need a left-sided defender. I do not need a 9. Because if I need to, I can bring in Jota. If I need to, I could switch to a 4-2-3-1. Like if I really had to, I could stick Jota up there. I could put Darwin in as an impact sub. I could maybe work a false 9. What I can't do is put Endo as the 6. What I can't do is rely on Stefan Bajcetic to come in and be our defensive midfielder. What I can't do is stick Tsimikas in the left back. What I can't do is continue to rely on Joe Gomez and Matip. I cannot address that in January, so I have to live with what I have. Darwin has until the end of the year to make good. I like him, but if he doesn't get the output, he doesn't get the output. But I cannot. There are bigger problems, and I know my owners, and I can't solve that problem this year.
How much of this is because we was putting it all on? Liverpool need this mythical number 6 that's going to change their lives. How much of this is on Jurgen Klopp? Because obviously, I've got a manager, and I'm sure. Although I love this player, Sean Longstaff, I'm sure most of you guys wouldn't have him in your first 11. I would. I think he's incredible, but we've got a great midfield. I'm sure people aren't going to be sneezing at our midfield and thinking they're nothing. Like, we got a very structured. We defend well, we pass well, we do everything that's needed. Why can't Liverpool do that? And why do you have?
Say that again, Philip. I'm sorry. What does that have to do with Nunes, Longstaff? Okay.
So he was talking about the 6.
So I'm talking about the 6. Mike is saying I need a
like,
6.
Do we move on without me knowing I'm the host?
No. So this is the part I'm going to get to. So I think
I'm not here.
It's Mike's show. It's Mike's show.
Sorry.
Short section here. Short section, because I definitely want to get to Arsenal.
I'm more talking about the overall structure of Liverpool, because obviously Jurgen Klopp said, if Nunes is the answer, what was the question? And the main qualities that Nunes has is pace, athleticism, and power. I know there's things that you don't like about him. Let's focus on
not power.
Listen, I will hear all of the arguments. I got you.
Not power.
So he wanted something about Nunes. I personally felt that when Liverpool bought Nunes, that's the time when Man City bought Haaland, and I felt that Liverpool were trying to flex. Well, that was my kind of. It wasn't the old Liverpool that had that scouting network that got the Manes for 25, 30 million. It was just to say, well, they got Haaland, we're going to get this wonder kid called Nunes. I'm talking about, and so I think that's the thing with Nunes. And I just wonder in terms of Klopp himself and the structure for Liverpool. I don't know if it's a 6 or because you've got an incredible strike force. I'm just wondering how much of it is on Klopp to improve the structure, the overall structure of Liverpool, and to make things work. Because if we can make it work in the League Cup, for instance, with Paul Dummett and Kraft and all that getting a result, I'm sure Klopp.
Well, you will play Man United.
No.
Man City too.
Let me do this super chat to respect that people that do super chat. Hassan Ali here. Klopp realized football was not sustainable. The players turned out mistakes was not replacing the players like for like when they were past their best. Yeah, I agree, Hassan. Thank you so much. And that brings me to the next question before we move on from Liverpool. And as to Mike, what is your expectations this year? That's number one. Yep. Number two, what should your expectations and Liverpool fans be based on the team you have?
Yeah, well, okay. So just really quickly to answer his question really quick, because this will kind of go into that. Klopp is very much to blame because he has too much power at the club because we don't have a real sporting director, right? I want Max Burrow coming in. That's my most important thing until January. I need that guy from RB Leipzig. I want his ability to scout talent. I want a real sporting director because the manager cannot be the sporting director, and Jurgen Klopp is. Like, he goes out and he says, Endo's a fantastic player. The guy gets run over by everyone with legs. Okay, the guy is too slow to chase a donkey.
That's McAllister?
Well, McAllister and Gravenberch, I believe, were not Klopp. Klopp was Nunes and Endo, and he was also Minamino.
Very bad. Very bad.
But
doesn't know his ass from his face. Then,
regardless, we've got a big problem with our sporting director and how we acquire players. Klopp has too much power. So yes, he is to blame. In terms of expectations, though, I think that with the side that we have, we've shown that we can put in performances. And I think that without a doubt, there's no question top 4 is just like guaranteed. Like, I think that every Liverpool should be saying that there is no question. We should 100% be making top 4.
This is the answer to what question? It's expectations or yes. What should expectations be? There are two types of things.
I mean, I think that ultimately going into every season,
Chelsea's expectation should be winning the league. Reality is top 7.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, all of us on this panel.
I'm being serious. You guys think I'm joking?
No, 100%. Everyone on this panel, Newcastle, Spurs, Arsenal, United, Liverpool, we should all be saying, I want to come into the season and I want to win the league. Realistically, my minimum.
No. Hold on, Mike. Mike, you're missing the point. United shouldn't be coming to this season saying I want to win the league. United should have
yeah.
been coming to this season saying top four. Liverpool with midfielders and Jurgen Klopp should be coming to the season say I want to challenge for the league. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. I shouldn't have said that. I didn't want to say my opinion, but go ahead.
No, listen, we can challenge. I mean, listen. Ultimately, I think it's a little bit of a pigeonhole
Stretch.
question because I think City are just going to win it by 15, 20 points. I don't even think it's a competition.
What?
I think that at this point City are not going to drop down again. Once KDB comes back, it isn't even going to be a conversation. When it comes March, this league is going to be over. But
over in March.
I want to challenge. I'm saying I can see that. I can see that happening. I can see City just running away with it. I think that everyone's just. I think
Kaz is not liking that, but go ahead.
Which is fine.
Kaz is like, what is going on here? Why is this guy talking?
What
like
have I done?
No, I've got nothing against Arsenal, dude.
No. I know what you're saying, but
no. Hold on. You do. If you say the league is going to be over in March, you clearly
you
do have something against them.
You asked
don't
me,
rate them at all.
You asked me what my realistic opinion is. I rate everyone. I just think that City are just miles
doesn't
ahead.
mean it's right.
I think that
can
City
be
are
right,
just.
and we're all fools, but fine.
I think that they're just.
Can I ask Mike a question?
I want to Kaz. Sorry, Ramon. I want to Kaz because this is a big claim that the league will be over in March. That means by March it's done. That means it's even worse than most of the other seasons.
I'm just exaggerating. Don't like literally.
Okay, not March. Even if this league ends in game week 30, I think it's a disaster for every other club in the Premier League because Man City actually got rid of their experienced players,
and they've gone better somehow. That's what we're trying to say. I mean, with Mike, like first thing with, I mean Nunes, right? I know you like him, and to be honest, I'm more on the Hussam side because we've always been there, like a player you really like, you really want him to succeed so bad, but at the end of the day, he's not the guy. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. He lacks that power. He lacks that composure in front of goal. He misses so many chances, chance after chance after chance. He misses. He will score that odd goal where he'll score that wonder goal. He'll be like, whoa. What was that from Nunes? But then he'll go again 2-3 games missing chances. In terms of Liverpool, I would like to say one thing. I think this season would be a season early for them to compete for the league. I like the players you've signed in midfield, especially Gravenberch. He will become better. McAllister, Szoboszlai. I really wanted Szoboszlai at Arsenal. We didn't get him. We never were fully in for him, but we were in for him a couple of seasons back. But I think this season is a bit too early for you. Next season is when I would expect Liverpool to challenge for the title because, well, there would be a big question if Mo Salah stays or goes, to be honest, at the end of the day. So next season, I think it'd be more of a realistic opportunity for Liverpool to charge for the title. In terms of title this season and the league ending in March, I think that's not going to happen. I think it's a two-horse race. As much as all due respect to the Tottenham fans here, they would like to be in the conversation for the title race. I'm sorry. Key injuries to Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero, he's got Bozo genes. He's going to let you down again. James Maddison, again, he always misses 10 to 12 games a season. Guaranteed. And the way he went down without a touch from any other player, it just shows me it's a bit more of a serious injury. So I think your season's gone. Unless you go in January, replace or sign a couple of more defenders and sign another attacking mid, basically. Your defenders will be Eric Dyer, Emerson Royal, Pedro Porro, and some other guy, Phillips or someone you signed in the summer. So I think you guys would fight for top four. Now, coming to Arsenal and City, I think Man City is very vulnerable. You guys might look at it and laugh and think, oh, Man City is like schooled you guys last season. Both of the games we played home and away, they literally spanked us. But I feel like there's a lot of vulnerability in that team. They've lost a lot of experienced players who've tracked them in crucial times in the season, like the players like Riyad Mahrez, players like Gundogan. They're going to miss Kevin De Bruyne. It's not easy to miss 3-4 months of the season and come back and be at pace straight away. So I think they will struggle. Player like the players you have signed, Jeremy Doku, they're not experienced players, although they're doing really good. But we all know this is the Premier League. After Christmas or during Christmas, when the games come thick and fast, players wear off. We've always seen players coming from another country. They need time to adjust. In terms of Arsenal, well, we've had a up and down season, but I really like what Mikel Arteta is trying to do. We are defensively more solid than last season. We were literally like Spurs last season. We were just blowing teams away in the first 30, 40 minutes, and then we just concede this silly goal. We'd make mistakes. We still making those mistakes. However, I feel like if we do not replace Thomas Partey in January, I've seen links with Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa, then we have big problems. Now, if we address our situation, I've read an article today. Instead of signing Ivan Toney and going for him in the January transfer window, because we have to abide by FFP rules, we might sell some players to raise some funds to sign the players like Douglas Luiz. So we are a midfielder short at the moment because Thomas Partey is, as far as I know, is going to be out till January. So as long as we carry on from now till January doing what we're doing, keep winning games. We've shown we can win big games. We've shown we can give big performances. It's a bit funny because our away form is much better than our home form for some reason. You would expect us to be more stronger and disciplined at home, but we're more stronger away for some reason. But so I think you will be down to 2-horse race, and you would depend on what type of business we do in January. If we don't do any business, then obviously things can get really ugly. But I feel like this Man City team is very different from the last season because to win a treble, it takes a lot from players in terms of energy, in terms of emotions. To come back from that and to win another league and to do a 4P, which has never been done before, stranger things have happened. And
yeah, but that's what champions do. I don't know how we can talk down Man City. I mean, they've won 4 or 5 Premier League leagues in trophies and kind of trophies. I think it's for Arsenal to prove they can actually win a major trophy.
Definitely.
Arsenal have to sit down and watch and City and how they're doing. My worry for Arsenal, and I've watched a couple games, not every, against Chelsea and others, and obviously against us, and. If we're talking about, we can say about Chelsea, City, but they're still scoring goals, they're still creating chances. They're still City in essence. There's a system-based team. I think Arteta's created 2 rods for his back that he didn't need to make. He bought Raya, and then now there's a clash between Raya and Ramsdale. He's bought in Havertz, unbelievably bought Havertz. I mean, there's a reason why when we played you guys, we put 2 men. 2 on Saka, 2 on Martinelli, and people thinking Havertz had a great game. He didn't have a great game. What we call managed the risk. We didn't believe that Havertz. He had a better game because we put our men on Martinelli and Saka. We said that, you know what, Havertz, he's not going to do that much, and he didn't. If it was Ødegaard, obviously, it's a whole different ball game. But that's where you got to understand how opposition teams view Havertz. He's not seen as someone that's to be frightened of. I think Arsenal got to prove they could. Your creation has gone lower. Your chances have also the goals that you're scoring have also decreased, and there's kind of concerns around that. I think Man City are just doing what they do. They top the Champions League groups. They're already qualified. They're already running away things. For Arsenal to prove what they're made of.
But only one thing I would say.
Go ahead.
But the only thing I would say, losing those caliber of experienced players, Riyad Mahrez, Gundogan, I've got this gut feeling that it's not going to be like last season. And in terms of Havertz, I think he works much better up front because he wins those aerial duels. In midfield, he's a
you
type
lost
of
me when you said better. It's done.
Sorry.
He when you said better, you just lost me here.
Do you know,
you could have said any other word. You could have said he does okay, acceptable. When he said better, I'm like, that means he was doing okay or good, and now it's better up top. I'm like, all
compared to what he does in midfield, he does it better in attack.
Right.
He wins those. He wins those headers.
That, right?
I know.
When did he win an aerial duel against us?
Well, he wasn't playing up front. That was
Did you watch him against Sevilla?
He should have.
What did you think about his game against Sevilla?
He was crap. He was crap.
But when I said, I'm not sure if you watched that show or not. When I sat with the guys and I tried to explain to them that yes, he won 2-0, but we still Havertz was the worst player on the pitch.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I mean, do you know, with some Arsenal fans, they will always try to deflect and they will always try to defend the players. But at the end of the day, you should call out what you see. Like the Newcastle fan, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Philip pointed. What did he win against Newcastle in the aerial duels? But he wasn't playing up front. Against Man City in the Community Shield, we put him up top. Against Chelsea for the last 10 minutes, we put him up front. Because of his flick of the header, we scored that goal. So I think he works much better up front. He can be a plan B compared to Jesus, who seems like always injured since he joined us. Man City kind of scammed us there because he was barely injured when he was playing for Man City. As soon as we signed him, same with Partey. He never gets injured when he plays for Atletico Madrid. As soon as we sign him, he gets all these injuries. So I still have faith in my team, to be honest, at the end of the day, because I see Mikel is trying to do something different this season compared to last season. And I know at times the football is not great. We're not creating that many chances. There's still question marks over Havertz. I think he might work out if he plays him up front as a plan B compared to Jesus, whose holder plays better, but Havertz wins more headers. But it would come down to, for me, in January, whether we sign the midfielder or not.
Question, Kaz. Where do you think Man City are going to drop points? Because at the moment, like we're going to play, they're going to play us in 3 games time, and we're at bare bones, so
Yeah.
they're going to beat us. Mo always says, "Oh, the top 9 teams, if you go away, it's going to be a difficult game." I can't see, apart from maybe Anfield, they might drop points. Maybe St James's Park. We've seen what they did at Old Trafford. They always lose at our stadium, but under Andrew's system, I think they'll beat us because we'll go down toe to toe with them and lose. We won't be playing Mourinho or Conte tactics. I can't see where they drop points. They had their anomaly result against Wolves. Rodri wasn't there, and then they had the Arsenal game. That should have been a draw, but it could have gone either way, and it went Arsenal's way. But I can't see where they're going to lose points, and they're just going to get stronger. Pep takes 2-3 months to get his team sorted. He gets his players back. January, they kick on. They go on a 15-game winning run. I can't see Arsenal doing that. I can't see Liverpool doing that. And just before we went on to Arsenal, I just wanted to ask Mike a question regarding Darwin. We've got players that some fans blindly work hard, stuff like Richarlison, for example. Even Kulusevski, he works hard but very one-dimensional and stuff like that. I remember watching Liverpool in the 80s, Rush, Aldridge, then they had the youngsters, the Fowlers, the Michael Owens, and then more recently Suarez and now Salah and Farini. They had elite strikers. You shouldn't be accepting, oh, we've got Darwin because we need a number 6. You should be saying we need an elite striker to compete with Man City. Because if the fan bases of rival clubs like the Arsenals, like the Liverpool say, oh, we need to fill this gap, but we'll be happy with the intensity up front. You're never going to catch Man City. And I think people there's a lot of, and this is what YouTube has become. There's a lot of delusional fans out there that try and big up this. You've got big fan channels saying, yes, we got bigger fish to fry, blah, 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 blah. And fool the fans. And I know where my team Spurs, we're top 4. We overachieved on the pot. We've done really well. We should have won the title when we had our players like the Jan and Toby in the middle, and then Kane and Dele Alli, etc., etc. But Liverpool, when they were at the top during the COVID years and 2019, they stood still while Pep thought, right, no, I'm not going to let these guys. I'm going to win the title again and again and again. And Klopp was like, okay, what do I do now? And he fell behind 2-3 years. And it's pointless buying a Nunes for 60, 70 million, because at that point they saw Haaland was being bought. They needed a top class forward. And you can love a player as much as you like. If he's not going to like the amount of chances that miss against Luton, like I remember the first 10 minutes against Luton when we played them, Richarlison, if he could score with his feet, he would have had a hat trick. He only scored with his head. So that's why I don't understand this Liverpool mentality. Even though Hassan gets on my nerves for his anti-Spurs, but I agree with him there. Darwin Núñez is not going to be your guy, and you don't even as a squad player coming off, you need someone who's going to hit the ball in the net when you need him.
I'm going to keep my response short because I know that we got to move on to United and we got to move on to Newcastle. If you look at it like this,
he knows.
Son is your striker. Son has 9 GA this season. Núñez has 7 GA this season. In the Premier League, Núñez has played 400 less minutes. So if we're just going to look at output on the season so far, Núñez in almost half the minutes has just 2 less GA than Son. And ultimately, has he missed big chances? Sure, but so have a lot of people. At the same time, his output in the league is not poor on paper compared to the rest of the big strikers in the league. Arsenal don't have a big striker. Chelsea don't have a big striker, so I can't compare them. You really just have to look at essentially Haaland and Son, and even with Haaland, he has I think he has 5 less GA in 700 less minutes. So ultimately, has he missed big chances? Absolutely, but on paper, by output, by minute, he really hasn't. And could that come due? Sure, but like at the same time, I have bigger holes in my team that I need to fill before I fill that one. And hopefully by then he will come due. And if he doesn't, well, in the summer, 100 million from Osman, doesn't matter. Like, we go on. You know what I mean? But listen, he's not that much. I mean, he's this much less worse than Son. And Son is this amazing striker that everyone loves.
Hold on, what?
This much less worse.
Is that you, Will? Is that you, Will? Is that you, Will? And the Will Stewart?
No, I'm talking. No, well, hold on.
Guys, telling me about the stats and minutes per like the goal per minute. Is that you?
No, I'm not being a stat merchant. I'm just trying to put in some perspective and say that by output, he's slightly.
But you know what
worse.
we're talking about? The problem is, Mike, you know, you keep doing this around it. You know what I mean? You keep doing this. Like, you know, you're admitting exactly what we're saying. Just keep doing this, because at the end, you're saying, if I have the money, I'll go buy another striker. If you have full faith in your striker, you'll never say that.
You stick by him.
Exactly. You never say that. You will never say that.
I'm just saying right now, I stand behind him.
Mike, you're wrong. Move on. You're wrong.
Okay, whatever. It's okay. It's okay. Go on to United so we can.
I'm joking with you. You have a point. I actually, before we move on, this point of view, this perspective, never been said before. I have another hole. I need to fill it, and because I don't have the money, comes the end of the season or comes the time where I need a striker. If he's not good enough, let's replace him. But I now need to fill another hole, because I have the same exact logic for Arsenal. If you're going to get me one player in January, don't give me Ivan Toney if I have Jesus. Give me a freaking 8. I have a hole in my starting 11. I need to fill the starting 11 first before I get a sub. I get your point now. The fact that some people just defend Nunes blindly, that's what drives me crazy. Agree to the flaws and say he can get better. He has space in transition. He's one of the best because he's so quick. We saw against Newcastle. But for people to tell me that in tight spaces he's good, the guy cannot even have a first touch. He cannot stop the ball. But anyway, I want to move on because it's getting boring.
Sorry, one quick question. Just for the GA, you mentioned GA. If Son was in Liverpool's team and Nunes was in Tottenham's team, Son would have double digits GA and Nunes would be luckily, because he'd have, remember who Son's providing, who's got either side of him. He's got Richarlison on one side, and then he's got Kulusevski the other side.
One of the worst players in the Premier
League. Whereas Nunes has got one of the best players in the world, Salah, and he's got Diaz or Gakpo.
Son is class, by the way.
I can't argue. My only argument was output. I can't argue.
I just put the stats out. I'm just putting the stats out. I'm not a stats guy.
But we all have eyes.
Output.
I am just putting the output out. I am not. Go ahead. Manchester United downfall. It's a simple question. Oh my God, this is getting boring. Should he get sacked? Not get sacked? Do you see you winning against Luton, Kevin? It's as simple as that. Do you see you winning against Luton at all?
Yeah, I can see us winning now.
All right, I got a little bit of confidence. That will be Man United back, or that would be what?
Let's say we're going. That's the start of the title charge. Don't worry, we're on it.
I've seen this movie many times.
We've seen it way too many times.
Bro, I'm telling you, bro. They win a game and then they're like, I've seen it. We're back.
The consistency. We need to build consistency to even have a remote chance of saying we're back. I'm not one of those that after a win, that's it, everything's peachy good, and we'll start winning every game from that on. So I could see us winning now, where a few weeks back I was actually a little bit worried. And yes, even against Luton, I mentioned it on your last show. But I can't see us winning now, and like I said, that's not going to be anything to really, I guess, ride hope on, and yeah, so yeah, it's peak. Those are the questions we're getting now. But I did tell Mo.
Bro, I'm seeing titles everywhere. Man United last chance. I'm like, okay, is there a doubt that they were gonna win against Luton? Listen, Luton got a draw against Liverpool. Is that Old Trafford? It's not.
Yeah, it's at Old
It's at
Trafford.
Old
I'm
Trafford.
pretty sure.
So you'll win it, no matter
Yeah,
what. You'll win it
I
for
think
sure.
we'll win it. I think if we were at Luton, I
Unfortunately,
think
we'll win it.
that,
You'll win it.
that question's gonna hold a little bit more weight. But right now we're at Old Trafford, so
Kevin,
I think we should win
I've
that.
got a question for you. Are you Ten Hag in or out?
Yeah, I'm more Ten Hag in,
You're more
but
Ten Hag in. Can I
yeah,
ask you
but
why?
yeah.
What do
From
you
what
see on the pitch that makes you any signings and the style of football you say
so
on the pitch? What makes you in?
yeah, okay. So before I'm gonna clarify, because when you have this debate, it's oh my God, you're Ten Hag in. That means he's perfect. That means he's doing everything. He's gonna take you to the promised land and everything. Um, so pretty much before this season started, before when Ten Hag came in, I said that if things go wrong here and I see what's going on the pitch, I'll be players out, manager out, not manager, owners out, structure out before I really focus. Right now, I think we're seeing a man that's cracking under pressure. So I don't think he's excelling. I don't think he's doing great. Um, and I do think that the injuries, I think if we have a stable back four, I'd really like to see with the stable back four, because the defense is exactly what we based everything on last year. So we haven't had the same back four in repeating games. We keep switching it. We keep having injuries. So I know everybody has different.
Can we
different,
debate
like,
that a little bit?
Go for it.
When you mean back four, you mean only Alessandro back, or you mean Luke Shaw?
No, even with Johnny Evans, for example, and Maguire, it was at least stable, and you start seeing them build a little bit of a partnership. Now, I'd rather Varane and Martinez. Obviously, that's our best back two, but I think Luke Shaw is also a pretty big part. And before people go crazy in the chat, I'm not saying he's world class, and I'm not saying he's the best left back in all of Europe. But I think with our back four, just a stable back four, consistent back four that you can already start building a little bit of stability. I think that will give me, at least, like I said, everybody's different and has different ceilings. That'll give me a little bit more of a better view of what he's trying to do. So I just want to see stability before I really pin everything on him. But I don't think he's doing himself any favors. The selections he's doing, I
But
said, I
hold
think
on,
he's
he
correct.
had Varane available and he chose to play Maguire and Evan. That means Varane is not doing the job.
No, but I think
That takes one out of the question.
Yeah,
So that takes him out of the question.
That's me thinking that he's trying to build stability. That's me trying to think he's changed it every game, and he's trying to keep the two. They're not great, but they've at least been working pretty decent. They've been doing pretty good, and I think he's trying to keep that to at least get some kind of momentum going. I don't think he's trying to chop and change when it's already chopping and changing on its own. You put Varane in, and then he gets injured again. Then you got to put in Evans again cold, and you're messing with the stability. That's how I see it personally.
But Kevin, he signed regular and he barely plays him anymore.
Yeah,
Some of his signings, Anthony.
but on regular, because I'll challenge that right there. He was just an emergency left back. He wasn't supposed to play. Like,
by the way, guys, I
but
don't know if
Luke
you
was out,
watched me
right?
this morning. I don't know if you watched me. I'm starting a notion that it wasn't Ten Hag's fault signing Anthony. Actually,
Was it not his fault?
Why do you
Is that,
think
how is it his fault?
He's the one who coached him, and he's the one who was dying
Okay,
to sign him.
so let me ask you the questions then. Was Anthony good at the Eredivisie?
Well, so this is the question. So if you've managed the player, you've managed him, you exactly know what he brings to the table, right? Now, whether or not you misjudged him at that time, whether or not
what do you mean misjudged him? Did he play well or not?
No, he didn't play well.
At Ajax, did he play well or not?
He wasn't a player who was playing like Suarez or playing like Wesley Sneijder when they played for Ajax. You know the players that come from Ajax.
So you think he's not even right? He wasn't great. That's what you're saying.
He wasn't great at all, because he should have signed Mohamed Kudus instead of Anthony.
I accept that argument. Then if you have that argument, I accept it.
He was not good.
I looked at his numbers every time I was watching Ajax. He was a great player for them. He was providing flair. He was a tricky player on that right side. Mo, listen, I didn't watch every Ajax game. I can't sit here, and I doubt that you did.
Mo, right? Remember Memphis Depay, who came from was he Feyenoord or PSV Eindhoven?
Yeah, Memphis Depay is different. He came to Manchester United from Lyon. Yeah, someone just dropped it.
From Lyon, okay. But with some of these Eredivisie players, they will like score 20 goals, 25 goals. They'll have.
But that's the only measuring stick we have, guys. Because Manchester City went and signed Doku, right?
Yeah.
Doku played all right at France. Manchester City said, yeah, he's worth an investment. We'll go and invest. What if Doku turned up shit?
But this is the problem, though, right? The Man City structure, the scouting networks they've got, the sporting directors they've got, they exactly know they do their.
So why is it Ten Hag's fault then?
Ten Hag's fault because this is the important point. I'm so happy that you asked me that question, because Ralph Ragnick was there when Ten Hag got appointed. Ten Hag wanted the power. Ten Hag wanted to control everything. Ralph Ragnick was there. All he had to do was work with Ralph Ragnick, identify the players, and sign them based on the club's needs and the club's structure and the process going forward. But he wanted all the powers. Now, if you live by the sword, you have to die by the sword, because at the end of the day, you ask for all the powers, you have all the powers. Now, it's your decision to get the players right and the signings right. If you don't get the signings right, and if you're going to spend 80 to 90 million euros on a player, I'm sorry, at the end of the day, it's going to come back to bite you. And that's what's happening because.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think Di Maria is a bad player?
Di Maria was a very good player.
Okay,
But he didn't
why didn't it work at Man United?
As far as I think, Van Gaal was the manager at that time. He just didn't suit the system. That's what I think.
So
Because
why
he
can't
went
we
back
say
to,
that Anthony is the same?
because the system he was playing. This is another point, right? The way Ajax was playing under Ten Hag, he's not to play that player system of to play that style of football. You need specific players, right? So he had Anthony, he had Timber, he had all these other players that he needed to play a certain system. But you're not even playing the same system when it comes to Man United. So why sign him if he worked under a particular system? So you've changed the system completely. You've, instead of playing a possession-based style, you're playing a more of a counter-attacking way of football. Now he doesn't suit that style as far as what we can see from a season and a half. So why sign him to begin with? Because if you're trying to play a completely different style of football, these are some of the questions that's questionable.
Now we're talking. So now you're providing things. But what
Yeah.
I mean is that people that said that, and because I went back and I looked, and I'm like, when they signed him, he was regarded as a very good player around the world, Anthony. That's why his price tag, hence his price tag, right?
Yeah.
So they went and signed him, assuming that you're gonna come in and play the same football you're playing at Ajax, which is that, what's his name? The guy that forgotten in the midfield of Man United, the guy that came
Van
from
de Beek.
Ajax.
Van der Beek.
Van der
Van der
Beek.
Beek. Oh
Van
my
der Beek,
God.
yeah.
This guy. So this guy, so physically he's not suited to the Premier League, but he was all right. Anthony was a superstar at Ajax. Everybody around the world was talking about Anthony, and he signed a superstar. It didn't work. He was a superstar at that team. He was the most wanted player at that team.
But I think we're giving
He was a
too
big
much
fish in a small
credit.
pond.
We're giving
Exactly.
too
Right?
much. We're giving too much credit to the Eredivisie. I don't think it's a very good league. We bought the top scorer.
Well, Van Nistelrooy
I can't
came from
remember.
that league, and he was one of the best strikers.
Yeah, you can
Premier
have the
League.
one or two gems, but on a whole, we bought Vincent Janssen, who was the top scorer, lauded in the blah blah blah. Okay, that and did nothing in the Premier League. Then you've got that great Alex
Bergwijn.
team, that Bergwijn, that great Ajax team that we beat in the semi-finals. That got gutted. You had players going to Barcelona, Chelsea, stuff like that. What did they do? They hardly really became first teamers. I think we give too much credit to the Eredivisie and think, oh, they've done well in the Dutch league. You're going to get out one in 50. There's going to be a
So
gem.
nobody,
But
so Ramon,
majority
your
of the,
argument is nobody should sign anybody from the Dutch league.
I think you've got to do your scouting, you've got to do your
All right.
analytics and everything like that. And remember, the Premier League and the Dutch league completely different, and that's why the likes of Van der Beek and stuff like that is difficult to come. And that's why sometimes they're looking for players in Africa, South America, different parts of Europe, because the Premier League is unforgiving, and you can tippy tappy in uh, if you're one of the powerhouses of Feyenoord or Ajax, but PSV Eindhoven. But if you're coming to the Premier League, you've got to be made differently. And unfortunately, it looks like Anthony, he's not the player about 100 million, whatever they paid. They paid probably double what they should have paid. But
Well,
he's not the player that we think
That,
of.
yeah, that goes down.
Kevin,
The price, for example, goes down to, again, what I see as a real issue is the owners and the structure. We waited until he would have been bought for about 40, 45. Now you would still talk about him like, oh my God, he's the worst winger. He's not doing anything. But you're not giving you guys paid 100 million for him and we have money left over to go do something else. That goes down to us waiting until the last second, having no structure, having no scouts to have option B, C, or D. And that's why things just go completely upside down. So
well, he's shit. Like Anthony shit.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Like the
So,
guy has been
yeah,
playing like
I
shit.
think everybody
like,
agrees
that's
with that.
it.
I don't think anyone's fighting you on that one, Mo.
That's all he does. That stupid spin. He can't even take a player on.
Bro, he can't even do it
Yeah.
now. He kind of lost it. That's the problem. He tried to
Yeah,
do it. He fluffed
I,
it.
I,
I think
dare
like a
him,
couple of games ago, he tried to do it. He fluffed it.
yeah, I dare him to try to do it when we're losing. That's not going to go well. Good luck with that one.
Listen, I don't know, Man United. It's the only club that I can't sit here and try to argue anything about how can they fix it. All I say is that sack the guy, get a new manager bounce, get the players up, and let's go from there. Other than that, I have no idea how to fix this club.
I mean, you got to change the whole
I
culture.
don't
So that
actually care about
changes.
it. Well, I don't. Well, I don't think so. I think
You don't
if
think
you have
so?
Pep Guardiola, I think if you have Pep Guardiola, he will paper over the cracks. All the
You think
cracks.
so? I think
I mean,
if we
and he
got
will
Pep, I
win.
think we still have Claudio Bravo in that. I think he still has him. I don't think they let him go. And he said, yeah, he'll still have the first fullback that he bought, and they won't go through 4 or 5 until they say that's who I want. So that's why Pep won't come here, because he knows they won't give him that. He's out in one season. You won't give me
Okay.
what I wanted. Okay,
All
I'm
I'm
out.
saying is that if you had
I
Pep, you
do
might have
think-
won something.
All right, here's where I'll go with you. Pep is the greatest right now. He is the best manager, right? And you could argue even of all time.
What about
I
Klopp?
do think I don't know about Klopp. I think he's great, but I don't think he's at that level.
What about
where,
Ange?
yeah, he look, man. Fergie
You
has
don't
Ange
think that
pictures in
Ange
his
Hands
wall.
off, hands off.
Fergie
You don't think
looks
that
up to Ange.
Ange Postecoglou will come to Man United and make the football look better?
No, I think
Instantly.
we got this. No,
Okay.
I
No.
think you do that for a game or two, and you're not doing that at all.
I think
The
we'll
pressure,
see it.
the pressure of every single. Mo, we had people taking videos of Andre Onana dropping keys. Do you know how bad that is? Dropping keys, those make big headlines. Like the pressure at United, I don't think he survives that. And good
No,
luck
no,
having
I
9
think
men on the
I
halfway
think
line.
I don't think the pressure is United as much as you guys think. Not nowadays.
I don't know about that.
It's whatever that people just keep telling themselves that. I
You think
promise
so?
you.
I think
it's
everything
not.
is scrutinized. I think everything is laughed at. I think
Yes, because you provide a lot of good news and a laughing. It's a
But that's
it's
what
a
I'm
good
saying.
news.
I mean, but do you think Andre Onana dropping keys is good news? That should be worldwide.
No, because Andre Onana was dropping the ball every time and he was letting goals in, so
Yeah,
it's relevant, right?
So you put it to the. I don't think.
Yeah,
dropping
it
keys
is relevant. It's just a joke.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
And
saying.
you're making the news, so people will put you in the news. But I
But
promise you, if Man United don't make news and you keep losing games, nobody will talk about you.
I don't know. I think
I
it'll go on
promise you,
forever.
people will forget about you, unless you go and do what Chelsea did and spend £1 billion. Now people talk about you again. By the way, when Chelsea were losing last year, people were making fun of them, but they weren't the headlines. They weren't.
Yeah, but
I'm telling.
I think if you put United, Liverpool, or Arsenal in that situation, though, I think it's a little bit different.
When Arsenal finished
That's how I
eighth,
just
nobody. When Arsenal finished eighth, the news weren't about them.
Nobody cared about us, mate. Apart from rival fans. That's the banter.
I swear, when Arsenal were finishing eighth, nobody stopped their life and said, "What?" Arsenal finished. They were like, "Yeah, they're shit. Let's move on. Let's talk about Manchester and Chelsea."
People were comparing us to Aston Villa and Leicester City at
Yes,
that time. They
Man
were saying
United fans don't wanna. Man United fans, because if you realize that this might be a true, if you keep not winning and you keep losing games, right? I think Man United fans won't be able to live with themselves. I'm an Inter fan, right?
Yeah.
We won Champions Leagues. We won leagues, right? We are probably the second best or the third best team in Italy. During the period we had the banter era, we used to finish 7th, and nobody talked about us. We were in the headlines. Juventus with the headlines, Milan with the headlines. And we keep telling ourselves, yeah, we're a big team because that's how we live. That's how I put my head in the pillow and I sleep. Otherwise, I will just why I'm supporting Inter. I had R9, I had a lot of big players. Bergkamp before I went to Arsenal, Lothar Matthäus, right? I had massive people, and I went to sign shit players that didn't make the headlines. We didn't win trophies, didn't even make it to the Champions League. People forgot about us because we were not material anymore. We in Italy, even we weren't material, right? Man United fans, if you don't win and you keep getting out of the top 4, which is not happening, but it looks like it's closer to happen than not based on the structure and everything, you're not going to be the news anymore. There's going to be another team that is supposed to be up, because at that point you are where you're supposed to be. Does that make sense? You are the news when you are not in the place you're supposed to be. Arsenal at that time, they were supposed to be 5th. They were supposed to be 8th. So it's not news. What am I reporting here? It's something, it's predicted, it's expected, it's happening. Move on to the next club.
I guess we'll see.
Mo, those were some dark days. I still remember that COVID season. The football was just horrendous. It was like you said, we weren't on the news because rival fans were comparing us to Leicester City. They were saying you have to compete with Leicester City now. You have to compete with Aston Villa now. Just nobody rated us at that time. Everyone was like, we don't want to kick a dog when it's down. It was down to like,
Yes.
you know what? We just know your shit. We're just not going to.
And you are where you are. Your team is 8th best in the league, and you are 8th in the league. So yeah, it's not news. The news is something unexpected, right? Like the news is not gonna be me waking up driving my car. That's not news. The news is gonna be if I wake up and I have an accident. That's called news, right? But if Man United are terrible and you finish outside of the top 4 and you are terrible, I don't think that's news. People will stop talking about you. Do you see the point here? It happened to bigger clubs.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just see it a little bit differently. Maybe you're right.
Because you are mighty Man United. Because you are mighty Man United.
Because of everything that comes out in the news with us, not just football related, just anything.
As of now, you're still the news, Kevin. As of now, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen now. As of now, you're still the news.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe that's where I'm stuck at, so I see it. But
3-4 years down the road, you're not the news anymore. They're gonna move on to the next big thing.
Hopefully.
Anyway, last part of the show, Newcastle United. I love to talk about Newcastle because I like how the project is going. You might finish last in the group. I don't think you should look at that at all in the Champions League at all. You had a good experience. You kind of got beat by other experienced team that has been in the competition for years. I think you should focus on the league. Tell me, give it to me, Philip. Where does the season take you now with the Spurs injury list, the project failing, and Postecoglou might get sacked if they lose some games? Well, so give it to me.
Well, for me personally, I set my expectations in terms of league position. I used to do it in points between 65 to 81 points, and to go deep into the domestic cups, deep meaning semi-finals or finals in the domestic cups. And I did expect us to qualify from the Champions League group. I still do. So the range in terms of whether we're 65 and 81, it depends on how far we go into those cup competitions, you know. So we're doing pretty well. We're still in the League Cup after beating Man City and Man United. Obviously, still got the FA Cup to go. Doing well in the Premier League, and essentially winning the games that we should be. And everything is going well. I still think we've got a chance. I think once we come back from international break, we'll have Botman back, we'll have Isak back straight away, and we'll have Harvey Barnes back in December. So I think like we're in good shape. We're doing well. I know that
who
you just said
you're going to replace in the top 4 if you make top 4. Moment of the truth.
So I think I was gonna say Man United in terms of
no. This season, there's top 4 now. If you make top 4, who are you gonna replace?
Man United, current top 4 that's
like 8th.
The current top 4 that's there now.
Yeah.
Tottenham. Yeah, Tottenham.
You're gonna replace Tottenham.
Yeah.
That's the closest one.
Yeah, Tottenham. Who else is it? So it's
Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Spurs.
Yeah, Tottenham. Yeah.
I think so too with the injuries. I think so too. What about long term? Do you think you can replicate Manchester City's project?
I think that's what we're trying to do. Actually, you mentioned obviously at the beginning, you should concentrate on this. I think we're concentrating on everything. The whole point is not to just get to a position where you win a cup or you are winning. The point is to be number 1, which is what our Ramaya and our chairman said. And to be number 1, you have to compete on all 4s, and that's in all 4 competitions, and that's what we're doing. We are building a squad to do that. So the League Cup, FA Cup, the Champions League, even if we drop down to the Europa League, we'll get the same attention as every other league. I don't think so. For instance, not to kind of criticize Arteta or Arsenal, like there isn't one competition that we're going to pour our eggs into. We're putting them into all the baskets. Now, someone might say that's foolish, but like you said, the long term is to be a dominant team, number 1 team in the country. The only way to do that is try to do what the other dominant teams do. Liverpool, Man City, they compete in all 4 competitions, and you build a squad to do that. So that's what we're doing.
Philip, the squad you guys are building, it's actually starting to look scary, to be honest, because you guys make those sensible, smart signings. Players like
Yeah.
Livramento, players like Isaac, even players like Longstaff and Murphy, the way he's improved those players. Joe Willock,
Yeah.
another one. Sven Botman, he's another one. Fabian Shaw. I
Yeah.
just feel like in two to 3 years' time, if you can keep those players fit and he improves those players even more, boy, 2 or 3 years, max 2 or 3 years time, you guys are going to be competing for the league. To be honest, at this rate,
Well,
because
the interesting
you
thing is,
guys will have the backing from your
yeah,
from your owners.
yeah, and I guess you can only do this when you're in your own club, because I remember I've watching a lot of different podcasts. But when we do make these signings, though, no one's impressed. Everyone says, "Oh, underwhelming." Dan Burn, underwhelming. This and that, underwhelming. But obviously, when you know your own club and you can see the system that's going on, you can see those things coming out. I mean, that's why I said I rate Sean Longstaff. I know that people have, within our system, we don't have like a fixed six. We have CMs. So they're all CMs, they're all midfielders. You know, because we're not, you know, putting Rodri as an example. Rodri is an exceptional midfielder. He can tackle, he can shoot, he can do what a 6'8" does to a very exceptional level. He's so rare. He's so rare to the point where you need two players to be able to do what he does. And that's what we have, obviously not to that level. So Sean Longstaff is the one that sniffs out all the trouble, collects the ball. He can do progressive passing, but he's mainly there to cover Bruno and Joe Linton, or whether it's Tonali who was there before, and to look, that's why we look better now. We'll keep our shape. Bruno's obviously the one that's press resistant. He's the one that puts us forward as the creative. He's a deep line playmaker. I know people want him to be a number 10 or really advanced number 8, but his real strength is a deep line playmaker, similar to Enzo Fernandez. And obviously Joe Linton is that big, boisterous, physical midfielder that goes forward. So combined, they all, that's what Eddie Howe's done. He's combined them to be able to protect our defense, but also go forward with our forwards. Like it's really good to see. And like I said, coming from relegation to now, can only bring tears to your eyes, mate. I'll tell you that.
Money.
One thing that surprised
Listen, I
me.
need to stop you people here. There is something going on in the chat that I don't know what it is, because I was focused on the conversation that is happening between the lovely panel. And there is something that is going on in the chat between some people, and someone is calling someone else racist and stuff. I don't like that on my channel. So please, people, keep it respectful in the chat, because this is going nuts. I'm going to have to block all of you, because this will get me canceled, and it will get you canceled, get the whole channel canceled. So please stop. I don't know if Trevor really called somebody racist. I doubt he did. He did it. I doubt he did. But please stop that. Please, guys, move on from this conversation to the next one. Sorry, guys. Go ahead. Someone was asking a question.
Sorry, for me, you look at it as an outsider. There's 2 points. Eddie Howe, very impressed from what he did from Bournemouth. You know, go through the divisions, took him to the Premiership, and but he had a particular style of football which was very attacking, very nice on the eye, but defensively wasn't there. And then the way he has matured as a manager, and we all thought, oh, he's going to be temporarily. As soon as the Saudis come in, they're going to keep him for 6 months, maybe wait for him to mess up, and then they'll get their own Ancelotti in it, whatever. But he's proved a lot of people wrong, that he can have a defensive shape amongst his side and then build from the back. He hasn't bought any, apart from Isaac maybe, and Tonali, but you've lost him now. But no superstars, and it's very similar to when Man City. I think they had Robinho. They bought Robinho, but they had a lot of players from the Premiership, um, um, the likes of Milner and etc. etc. And then they slowly started getting the Silvers and the Agueros and the top class players. But a lot of them were, from Vincent Company, for example, from in Belgium. And I think that's the way to go forward. You can't go gung happy, the £1 billion that Bowley spent at Chelsea, or what Man United keep on throwing money. You've got to have a planning process, which is why I'm glad with having someone like a Poch who wants to be not Poch, because it seems like he wants to be there. And I think someone like Eddie Howe, he loves his job. You can see how he is with the players, and that's going to rub off. He's not come from outside. He knows the Premiership, and I think But I think for Newcastle is winning that first trophy, because I can't remember. It's been 15 years since Spurs won. It's been what, 40, 45 years since Newcastle won a trophy, and I think
69.
getting that 69, sorry, even longer. And I think the Carabao Cup is so important for you this year. If you can get
Every
through Liverpool
competition.
and beat the, yeah, but if
Every
you can,
competition. I can't stress it enough. I know that winning breeds winning, but from what I can see, watching the channels, watching the structure of us, you're right. We've now, I don't know, the last couple of days we recruited a global scout from Man United, actually, a Dutch gentleman. I forgot his name. So we've got a global scout, we've got a South American scout, and obviously Dan Ashworth and everybody else. I say this because these are the things that you guys already had and took for granted. For me, we had Lee Charnley. So the structure and everything else is changed absolutely rapidly. Yeah, I think it's good to see Eddie Howe getting the praise that he deserves. Like you said, he rose through the ranks, to the point he started with Bournemouth. He was doing everything. He was doing their kit designs, doing the scouting with Jason Tindall, going up the motorways, looking for players and stuff like that, to now where for me, it's an incredible story. I can't believe he doesn't get enough credit. I think people keep on saying he's a stopgap, and they keep on comparing him to Mark Hughes, for instance. But the only similarity for me between him and Mark Hughes is that they both got blonde hair and blue eyes. They have a totally different way of playing. They're totally different kind of man management, even player careers. They're so different. Now, maybe this my own kind of hot take, is my own maybe kind of thing is, I hope he can become our Ferguson. I know that it's highly unlikely, and there's only two in our league that can do that at the moment. That's Klopp and Guardiola. But that's my hope for Eddie Howe, just to see him rise to the top. I was actually joking with a friend of mine who's an Arsenal supporter. If you can compare, if you can compare Arteta and Eddie Howe is the one that went to that school in the ghetto, in the low, broken down neighborhoods, and rose his ranks, did an apprenticeship and passed. Arteta's the one that went to the private school, the best teacher in the world. And is obviously, so it's just interesting. It's not to say one path is worse or better, but it's just, that's how I view Eddie Howe, and so I'm kind of always rooting for him in terms of going out and achieving that. So
I've actually always I've always rated Eddie Howe, even when he was at Bournemouth. I remember as a United fan, I actually thought we would win the games, but I always hated going against them because they just always gave us a game. And I think and he also took time out, like you said, to go study, go into different
he did
managers, and that's very, that shows that he's not stubborn and he's willing to kind of adapt his game and learn, which is a very important thing. But I think one thing that he has that I get your take, about the Fergie next Fergie and all that.
Yeah.
But one thing that will help you on that is that the reason I think I hated playing against Bournemouth is because he has what players are willing to run through walls for him. That's that vibe.
Yeah.
Those players will fight tooth and nail until the end, and they're a cohesive unit. That's the most basic thing that you need in football to win games. Is you need a team just going in the same direction, willing to fight for each other. Even like United teams back in the day, you had players that didn't like each other, but when they stepped on that field, they're doing everything for that team, and that's something that a lot of Eddie Howe's teams look like they do, which is they all fight for him and fight for each other. So that's like the number one basic thing that goes under the radar that I think is going to help you guys a lot.
Yeah, and I know I said earlier in terms of us finishing fourth and replacing Spurs, for instance. I don't say it flippantly. Spurs have been finishing top four for the past 10 years. We have to prove that. Obviously, I've been asked to make a prediction, and I've already set my own expectations. But I always say that, yes, we're doing well, we're doing all these things, but we have to prove that. We have to prove to you guys that we could actually win a trophy. We have to prove that we can go into the Champions League stages all the time, and so that's the stages that we're at. But you see good things. We've got a great coach. We've got a good coach. Let's see if he can prove he's great. And we've got good players. Let's see how many of them can prove that they're great. But it's exciting to see.
Last thing is that people, if you want to send a super chat, send it now, because we're about to finish this. How do you feel about the decision of the Premier League clubs voting to ban clubs from loaning players under the same ownership? Philip?
Yeah, it makes me smile because, again, I said it to you in the last show, Mo. We came from a club, obviously, under Mike Ashley. We had players doing the hydrotherapy in wheelie bins. Which wheelie bins, for you American guys, is our dustbins where we remove the bins, clean them out, and we put ice into them, and then that's how the players got their injury free. So moving forward to now, we're getting we've got clubs and people essentially scared about what Newcastle are going to do. When the owners first took over, the richest football owners in the world, people thought we're going to do what Chelsea are doing. We're going to spend £1 billion. We're not going to care about FFP. We're just going to trample over everybody. In our first transfer window, Dan Burn, Matt Target, Chris Woods. There's an unknown player from France called Bruno Gomes, and a Kieran Trippier. So that was our first start to the.
So what's the answer?
So the answer is, I get.
By the way, there's only one right answer. Go ahead.
I know we're going to argue, and I can already feel it.
What?
Yes. So the answer is, I can see in principle where they're coming from. However, I disagree with it. And I think I disagree with it because I think it comes from fear of competition. When the big clubs are at the top, and it's no disrespect to you guys, I'm coming to you as a pauper who's getting some money. Finally got a job, and I'm getting my things together. That's the club we're at. When you guys are at the top, and when Chelsea had multiple clubs and all these other teams, Man City included, nobody complained, no one said anything. But the fear is that the owners of Newcastle are going to buy a whole continent and bring players in. But it's not going to happen that way.
No, hold on. I'm going to give you a scenario. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you tell me if you agree with that or not.
Yeah.
FFP is there to prevent teams from this or that and for fair competition.
Yes.
Chelsea did what they did.
They did.
If Manchester City tomorrow buy Kylian Mbappe, and give a New York FC or whatever team that they have, or Granada or whatever, and they loan him to Manchester City, his wage is not reported on Manchester City, his price tag is not reported on Manchester City, how would you feel?
So these wages aren't reported to Manchester City.
New York FC, who are part of the Manchester City group, bought Kylian Mbappe for 250 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they paid the money. New York FC, you didn't have FFP, they can do, or another team. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
His wage is 100 million. They loaned him to Manchester City. Manchester City pays 10% of the wage. That's the deal. How would you feel?
Look, I don't agree with the principle of it. I'm not. That's what I'm trying to get to. No.
It.
But what I'm saying is that
what
the motivations for it is the fear of what Newcastle are going to do, and they haven't done it. We just mentioned the name Ruben Neves, and everybody's shuddering and saying, let's ban them from going to Saudi Arabia. But then it's been going on. Watford and Udinese have a long-lasting relationship where they've been transferring players to each other all these years. Nobody cared. Why? Because it's Watford. But now it's Newcastle, and they've got money.
Yes, of course. Because I'm giving you an example.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't an option. Watford or Udinese, both are freaking broke, right?
Yeah.
But now there is a new player in town. There's a new player with so much money that doesn't only own a club, he owns a country, right?
Yeah.
He owns a country.
Yeah.
That one can buy anybody they want with no limitations or no precautions. Spend £1 billion on players.
No, you got FFP.
Newcastle.
No, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
But what I'm telling you, it doesn't. What if?
But now you're giving me. Now we're arguing a hypothetical that that's not working.
It's actually not.
It's not what it doesn't work. So we haven't done that. So it's not. We haven't done that. We could have done that last time.
Nobody. By the way, nobody said. Okay, nobody said that you done that.
Exactly.
But when the rule happened, you are the one, because you're a Newcastle fan, defending that and saying, no, you shouldn't put the rule. Why?
No, I didn't say that.
You just said that.
I don't disagree with the rule. I disagree with what I think is the intent behind the rule.
Forget the intent. I don't care about intent.
But I do.
Do you agree with this rule or not? Do you agree with the rule or not? Do you agree with the rule or not? Forget the intent. The intent is not I don't question intent here. Do you agree with the rule or not? Should this rule be here or not?
But you've created a rule that doesn't exist. So I'm not arguing the rule that exists. You said
what?
Newcastle aren't trying to buy Kylian Mbappe.
I'm not saying, I didn't say
Rebels.
Newcastle. Listen, I didn't say Newcastle. I'm not. Listen.
Yeah.
Forget Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree that this rule should be here or not?
But what's the rule?
The rule is you cannot buy the clubs that are affiliated with each other cannot loan players to each other.
They can't loan players or permanent transfers because
they cannot loan players to each other.
They can't loan players to each other.
The clubs that are owned by the same
Newcastle to Saudi
owner,
Arabia.
because forget Newcastle, Manchester City, and whatever team they are owning, the
Mhm.
Manchester City group, the City group, they cannot loan players to each other. Do you agree with this rule or not? Do you think this rule is fair to other clubs or not? Can
With the
someone else
context-
chime in here? Can
Yeah,
Mike
the
Yeah, that's
come
the fair
here
rule.
with us? Can someone chime
No,
in?
I don't. I definitely do not think it's fair. I think that it's just another workaround. But ultimately, it's the same thing with the charges against Man City. I think that whoever has the most money is going to be the one that has the most power. And I think it's unfair, and I think it's unjust. But it's the same thing within the wheel.
So hold on. So you think the rule is right or wrong?
Wrong. No, I'm sorry. Right.
Right.
You should not be allowed to buy Mbappe in New York FC and then loan him to Manchester. That's absolutely ridiculous. And honestly, they probably could. And I didn't even think about it that way. So, but no, totally.
That rule should definitely needs to come into effect. Like we exactly
Like
know what
today,
Newcastle is.
Before
Yesterday.
someone does what Chelsea did, amortization for 8 years and not report. Like Ahmed Suleiman here is saying, it's exactly that. Ahmed, thank you, Ahmed. So what stops New York FC to buy Mbappe for 300 million and City buy him for 10 million?
So you want to outlaw it totally, because you're talking about other aspects of it. Yes, I can see people how they can use it in a corrupt way, but in itself, you being able to own another club, loan players, and say you did it fairly, say there's a transparent way for everybody to see the accounts, that we're not overflating prices, we're not hiding the money that's spent, we're still within FFP rules. Would you still say no?
I know the answer to all of this, but nobody wants to hear it in Europe, by the way. I know the answer. And by the way, the European president, the UEFA president, actually said it. It's called salary cap. And there is nothing called that you're loaning a player and not paying his wage. What I mean is that Manchester United loaned Alexis Sanchez to Inter. Inter paid 25% only from the wage. So they're using a player that is on a wage of £500,000 a week. And we're paying 25%. That's why the president said wage cap, which is, I know Europeans and British people, especially the Premier League people, don't like it because they think it's Americanized. But that's not the only way you can control this. You can go buy Mbappe if you want for 10 million. Will Mbappe accept your wage? That's the thing. It's up to you. Mbappe is an asset at the end. If New York FC wants to buy Mbappe, it's up to them. And if they want to sell him to Manchester City for 10 million, it's up to them. But how much money will Kylian Mbappe make? Will he accept? And you cannot tell me that New York FC will pay his wage. That won't be acceptable. If a player is on your club's books, he is getting paid from your club. I think wage structure and salary caps is the way to control the football. I think that's it.
But do you think that will not just give unfair advantage to clubs that are already at the top? So if Newcastle and Liverpool,
same as FFP, same as FFP.
No. Because if Newcastle and Liverpool go for a player, the brand of Liverpool is far greater than Newcastle. So the one advantage that Newcastle could have is the wage itself. But that's now taken away.
Yeah. So you can pay that player a lot. So here, man. But that's part of football. That's part of life.
Oh, now it's part of football.
Yeah, no.
Why wasn't it? That's the problem. This is the problem.
No. You need to build your club first. Listen.
But 10 years ago, you
no. You need to build your club. So let me tell you, Arsenal Football Club last year, before they came second, if they go against Liverpool, which club is more attractive?
We don't know.
Liverpool was more attractive at that time. People would opt to choose to go Liverpool. You need to build by winning, not build by money. You want, because you are
every club builds by winning. Why is it such a big thing?
Because you are now telling me that the only advantage you have as a Newcastle No.
This is the height of hypocrisy.
It's this is the height of hypocrisy. I'm using your words.
Let me just finish what I'm saying, because you guys have this idea of what's organic growth. Organic growth seems to suit what the bigger clubs say it should be. So Man City, Newcastle, all of a sudden we're these artificial fake clubs because we've got money. But when you had money, when you guys were doing well, there was no FFP, there was no wage caps, there was no structure, there was no talk about this. The moment a club that is trying to build itself up, is trying to do itself well, you guys now want to introduce these rules. I'm not even saying that in essence these rules are wrong. I'm saying why they're getting put in. Who's supporting these rules? It's the top. It's the clubs that have been at the top at the beginning. So that's my problem with it.
Can I put my point out? I actually think that FFP was made to actually make the bigger clubs stay big and to prevent clubs like Manchester City, but Manchester City did it anyway. I agree with you at that point, that I actually disagree with this FFP bullshit that you can only spend based on your winnings, because the bigger clubs are already winning and they're already making enough money from other areas. So I agree with you on this. My point is, the only way to control that, the salary cap should be all the same. The salary cap, you're not getting me, Philip. You didn't listen to the next point. It's not based on your income. Salary cap should be the same for Southampton. Southampton owner can have the same exact salary cap as Manchester City. It's up to the Southampton owner to divide that salary cap as much as he wants. He can give most of the salaries to Kylian Mbappe and the rest to players from the Championship, or he can divide it well. I'm not giving advantage to Liverpool. I'm not giving advantage to Manchester City.
So what you're saying? So the salary cap is 150. Say you're saying
it's one for everybody, bro.
It's 150 for every player.
Yes.
No.
The whole club.
One for the whole club. You can do whatever you want with that salary cap. Like, for example, your salary cap is $500 million, for example, a year. Does that make sense? Or $500,000, whatever that number. You can go get Kylian Mbappe and pay him 50% of the salary cap. It's completely up to you to negotiate with Mbappe there. But what I mean is that makes it advantage. That means if you're a rich club, you don't have any advantage over the other club other than the attractiveness of your project and your history, which is part of the game.
That's just going to, but that's going to increase the gap even further, because if you're Man United, if you're Liverpool, because your brand, you already are established. Newcastle cannot compete with a player.
You're missing the point, Philip.
You're not understanding. It has nothing. It has to do with the amount that the player is getting paid. So I can have Erling Haaland and I can have Kevin De Bruyne and I can have Rodri, but they're going to take up 65% of my salary cap, which means that I have to now fill the rest of my squad.
So they won't be able to sign more players, Philip. Exactly. They won't be able to attract all the players. It's not one player.
But it's like he can afford Mbappe with that example, but they're like, Mbappe, they're making 200,000 a week. I could buy you, but you're going to be getting 15,000 a week. You want to come? That's going to make Mbappe now.
That actually makes it way more competitive, Philip. The thing about that is that bigger clubs will not be able to hoard players. Like Manchester City or Manchester United will not be able to buy Mbappe and Haaland because the salary cap will not allow that. That actually makes it more competitive for everybody. The UEFA president is the one who suggested that. Because he said FFP is based on your revenue, but your revenue is based on your marketing and how big is your club, which is what you are saying, that you can't compete as a Newcastle because you don't have the global revenue. But however, salary cap, or like you're a rich new owner or you're a poor owner, you want to put that much on your club, it's up to you, but that's how much you can pay your players. That's it.
Exactly.
Philip, the reason you don't want this rule to come into effect, because we all know Newcastle messed up with Tonali. You guys need another midfielder, and with all the links with Saudi Arabia, the best possible option, because obviously you have issues with FFP as well, because probably you can't sign players because of FFP rules. You guys want Ruben Neves, and that would be the easiest deal to make a January loan. I mean, I understand, bro, because at the end of the day, if I was in your situation and if my club could benefit from a rule like that, I wouldn't want that rule either, because you guys actually messed up with Tonali and you actually need a midfielder in order for you to play the rest of the season and actually do something with this season. So I completely understand from your point of view, because everything you said from where you've come from and where you are right now, you might not have the global revenue in terms of how much money you make, but you have rich owners. And what Mo's trying to say basically is you just have that cap and everybody plays by the same rule. So it's entirely up to you if you're going to use 80% of that budget, of that salary cap, towards one player or two player, or distribute it.
So who decides that salary cap?
Oh, that's between the clubs. Then that's the club.
And you're still gonna get the best, no matter what you create. You would still get.
No. Here's. Let me. I know what you're saying.
By the way, I actually have to go. This show. This is. By the way, this channel has been up for a month. I'm sorry. But you guys know that this is the longest show I've done, right?
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's the longest show ever I've done on this channel.
It was a good conversation.
Sorry, just a quick question regarding salary. The salary cap question, that should have been done when the Premier League started. It's a moot point talking about it now, because it will never happen.
It will happen. The UEFA president will force the Premier League to do it. He already said that.
He will if he forces the Premier League, the clubs will go, hang on, I'm spending X amount on my salary, whereas Burnley's spending X amount. How can we get to a happy medium? It's not gonna. It's not
That's
like,
yeah.
like American football and basketball and all American teams, whereas you had they all knew what
I
the salary
don't.
cap
So
was, and they have a draft. And
Ramon, that has nothing to do with it. They can agree on something at the end, because Burnley at the end will say, "I can even pay that much money." So if you get a higher salary cap, it's completely up to you.
Because this is like socialism.
But that doesn't
football.
help me,
And
because Leeds is skin to it, and he doesn't want to spend money.
I don't want to get
It's
into.
never worked anywhere.
I don't want to get into a political debate or whatever. I don't want to get into a political debate. I actually think this is the only way. This is the only way it's going to be fair without anybody saying,
It's not.
well,
It's going to make things
you're
worse.
gonna make you'll make more money than
You'll make the poorer poorer, the richer richer. People gonna get around it. It
Philip,
sounds fair. It's
see what you're saying.
It's the
Because it's
worst
good.
idea.
Your
It's the
argument,
worst
Philip. I'm sorry,
idea.
argue. Your
Where has this
argument,
worked?
Philip. Your
It works in
argument.
every
Your
American
argument.
sport.
Your
It works in
argument.
every
I'm sorry. I'm
American
sorry.
sport.
But we
Philip's
don't watch
argument.
we're not good
Sorry,
American
Philip.
sport.
You say stuff in the middle, Philip, that I
Listen.
know that it's gonna work. Did you know what you just said? You said people get around it. If people get around it, that means it's the right way to do it. But people just get around it because it's the right way, because it provides fairness. If people get around something, that means it provides something good. Does that make sense?
What I'm saying is that not around it in terms of being corrupt around it.
Yes.
It's just not something, mate. You are still Liverpool. You are still Man United. You are still going to outcompete Burnley. They can't. What's going to be your
Disagree.
median? Give us
No,
a wage
totally
cap.
disagree.
Give us a
Okay,
wage cap.
here, I think I could give
What
you
can
maybe an
Luton pay?
example.
What's going to be Luton's wage cap?
I totally disagree.
No,
with you.
no.
How are
it's
you gonna
saying-
how
I
are you
think
gonna
he's
make that
saying-
cap?
I think he's saying the wage cap for Luton, United, for example, they will each only have 500,000. I'm just going to use small numbers, 500,000 each. So it's not like Man United has a 1 million salary cap and Luton has a 20,000. It's going to be everyone has a base level where that's it. So if United go and they pay Rashford half of that wage bill, and Luton go and see Mbappe and we're trying to get him, and it's like, we can only offer you 10%, but Luton have 80% to give away. They could say, hey, Mbappe, I can give you 80% of my salary cap. Like, what do you think? And that gives him something to think about if he wants to get a decent pay compared to other players. I think that's what they're saying.
Philip, let's
So it's
take
not
it
like
offline.
everybody's going to have
Philip,
different.
Yes, Philip, let's take it offline. Okay, guys, thank you
This
for
is a whole
everybody.
show on its
Thank
own.
you.
Whole show
This
on
can
its
go
own.
on for long, and I think people are getting bored. Thank you, everybody that joined us. Thanks for all the members, of course. These are all members with us. Some of them go on reaction shows. Philip, Mike, Ramon, Kaz, and Kevin. Fantastic to have you here. You guys blessed me with your appearance. I enjoyed this. This is the longest show on this channel, people, believe it or not.
Those likes better reflect it.
It's just pure opinion. Thank you, everybody that joined us. Sorry for keeping you long, for keeping you late. Stay on the stream. It will take you to Husam's stream. We'll have Lewis and we'll have Hamza cooking each other. Thank you, guys. Thanks for all the members. Thank you for everybody supporting the channel and everybody that super chatted us. Of course, Hassan Ali, Tapilo, Jamie Phillips, Strasbourg, Steve, and Ahmed Suleiman. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you guys tomorrow in a reaction. Good luck for all the teams tomorrow. Not Man United. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
You're right. We don't need luck.